Let's go to the Western Cape, where officials have provided an update on a coordinated response to foot and mouth disease in the province. The aim was to outline ongoing efforts to ensure that the outbreak remains contained. Let's go to SABC News reporter Vanessa Poonah, who joins us now for an update. Vanessa, the Western Cape is not really one of the major flashpoints as far as foot and mouth disease is concerned in the country. It's not part of the epicenter as far as I understand. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a situation for officials to respond to. Take us through what has been announced in terms of that response.
Indeed, you're right there. The Western Cape may not be at the epicenter of the foot and mouth disease, but provincial authorities are taking no chances. They have actually outlined a 21-point plan to curb and contain the spread of foot and mouth disease in the province. We know just now that the Premier, as well as the Agriculture Minister in the province, along with the head of veterinary services, have laid out the plans they have in place, and this includes 100 million rand as a contingency measure to assist with containing this outbreak. We know that there have been outbreaks in areas such as Houda in November last year, and then more recently in Bokweni in Paarl. There are also reports that there have been incidents in township areas such as Khayelitsha in the Makaza area. But I'm joined now by Premier Alan Winde just to give us a breakdown of some of the measures and also applications that the province would have made and that they are in the process of in terms of curbing foot and mouth disease in the Western Cape. Premier, good day to you. I've mentioned there that 21-point plan and the 100 million, but what exactly does this mean practically on the ground to prevent the spread of FMD and also your containment measures?
I think so. First of all, the Western Cape has been seen as relatively free of foot and mouth disease. We did have that case that you referred to in November last year, dealt with it very quickly, quarantined and managed it. And so far we've felt that we've been okay, but we've had that case in Bokweni, we've got the case in Mfuleni and Makasa, and of course there's a suspected case in the George region as well. Tests are being done at the moment. So we now have to kick our plan into place. Already Wednesday last week we deployed our traffic officials on a 24/7 roadblock status. What happens now is we kick in the monitoring and management processes in that 21-point plan. It is making sure that movement of animals only happen when they are permitted properly, that you can move animals when they're permitted. When there's an outbreak, wherever that outbreak is, they've got to be quarantined and managed. We call for anybody who travels on and off farms, whether you're delivering feed, whether you're a vet, please let's keep those visits down to a minimum. We need to make sure the protocols on farm are really strict to contain this. We need to make sure that we get the tests done as quickly as possible. You've mentioned the 100 million that we've made available as an initial funding source for extra vaccines, joining the national program. We also must make sure that we are getting our vaccines according to a national program. We can't have vaccines that come in and then if they're the wrong strain, they actually could cause another strain of the virus in the province. It's got to have proper management with regard to vaccines. And then so it's about making sure that it's being managed decisively on farms, and wherever necessary we will quarantine. For example, in the Paarl region where we've had that outbreak yesterday, all of those animals have now been vaccinated. We've also quarantined them into an area, especially in informal settlements. It is quite difficult, but we've quarantined them. We're managing it with agriculture. We're bringing feed in to keep that quarantine in space so that we can get the vaccinations done. That is really, it's about management now.
Premier, you said earlier on, and we've seen representatives from the agricultural sector, Agri-Western Cape, for example, as part of this media briefing that just concluded, you were talking about the multi-billion rand industry and how important that is for the Western Cape, agriculture on a whole being very important. So, of course, one would understand that you are quite concerned about this outbreak and also throw all resources at it.
Absolutely. So the dairy industry, the meat industry, that's about 13.5 billion rand a year in our economy. So we can't mess around with this. We've got to be, and we've got to work with them. So that's why organised agriculture is in the disaster management system with us. They are in our working groups that work on this between our meetings. We will be calling further meetings now with all the municipal managers, the mayors across all the districts, making sure that they've got all the training in place for their traffic officials. Our traffic officials, as I said already, out there. It is a key component of our economy, and we've got to make sure that it is managed. Because it is such an important part.
You said that you're working with National, obviously, in terms of the vaccination process and rollout. Vaccines in the Western Cape, are there sufficient vaccines? What is the shortage? What are you looking at this point?
No, there'll be definitely a massive shortage because we have thousands of head of cattle in our dairies. And then, of course, it's the Karoo lamb and the sheep, thousands of Karoo lamb and sheep we've got. And then it also goes out to the beef sector. It goes out to the game sector as well. We've got to protect our buffalo herds. We've got to protect basically any cloven hoof animal on this in this province. We've got to protect them. So we don't have enough vaccines, so we use the vaccines now. Where we have an outbreak, we contain it, a 10-kilometre radius, get it quarantined while we're procuring more vaccines, and then we will work on a risk basis. We've got to obviously, where dairy herds are, they are concentrated, so that has high risk. We've got to make sure that they are protected, because if it gets into one herd, it can spread across those very, very quickly. Obviously, in the Karoo, you've got much more spread out farms with animals, but these protocols are spread across all of agriculture, and we've got to make sure it's a whole of society approach. So it's our municipalities, it's our traffic officials and police, it is farmers and farms themselves, it is the small scale farmers, it is everybody's got to be working on this together, and they all get pulled in to our disaster management space, where we will manage it now going forward.
Premier Alan Winde, thank you so much for your time. So, of course, they're just the Premier of the Western Cape, in a nutshell, letting us know the situation with regards to foot and mouth disease in the Western Cape, and, of course, also the province's coordinated response to ensure that the FMD remains contained in the province.
All right, Vanessa, thank you for that. That's Vanessa Poonah there, reporting for us on the foot and mouth disease response coming through from the Western Cape. Stick around. We've got lots more to tell you about, including the project known as the Mail and Guardian 200 Young South Africans. It's approaching its 20th anniversary, and we'll be talking about it a bit. But also a surprise guest for you a bit later on. Someone you may know from the streets of social media who manages to capture the moment when we'll all be watching the commissions of inquiry unfold, and somehow she's got her own way of making that come alive. That and more still to come. This is The Week Ahead on SABC News.